Watch out for me, I'm about to...
I think you brought three things that are sort of the foundation of why it is you're an asset. You have a really good knowledge of young people. You have an understanding of how to work with people and how to talk to them, and you always maintain a sense of composure. And I think when those three things converge, you operate as a dean of students really effectively. You brought a sense of direction and sort of a sense of calm, which enabled me to understand better how to do my job, at least insofar as dealing with students on a daily basis, dealing with them behaviorally. And when I can do that effectively, then academics can take care of themselves. There was one time you came down to the room and you gave my students a talk, and you explained to them very simply and very clearly what you expected from them. And I think that acted as sort of a motivator for them and for me. There was one other situation that came up that I thought was very helpful. I got an email from you. There was a particular student who I sent to your office a lot. And one day you had put what seemed like an inordinate amount of time toward dealing with this student. And the email you sent me said, I cannot give up so much of my time to this student. There has to be a better way for you to deal with this. It was so clear, it was so concise, and I think it broke things down to their simplest parts, so I understood where you were coming from. It was actually that email that allowed me to understand what you do and how you do it, and because of that understanding, and because I was able to see what you do more clearly, it allowed me to work with you very effectively. And that's another thing. I think you're very easy to work with. You strike me as a very nice guy. You're easy to work with, and that combined with the understanding, the composure, and knowing how to deal with people, I think is a good mix.
Mr. Oden has been an asset in regards to having my back when it comes to students getting consequences. When I put students out or have to have conversations with parents, those hard conversations, Mr. Oden supports what I have to say, and he takes my opinion into account when it comes to the track that should be followed when it comes to how those students receive consequences and the fairness of those consequences, and then even the severity of the consequences based on how I operate in my classroom, and not just based on what he feels would be the right thing to do. So taking into to account my opinion and supporting me that way is definitely been a great asset and a help this school year regarding students. I had a student who shall remain nameless who had gotten written up for having a weapon, him and a friend, and it was taken seriously. There were no, the student wasn't able to talk their way out of it, the parent wasn't able to kind of talk their way out of it, and the consequences were swift, and they were met with the right consequences, and the student was given that consequence, and it wasn't slow or, oh, it'll get handled later. It was immediate and right there on the spot, which was excellent given the day that it happened. It was a very busy day. We had a lot of events going on in the school, and Mr. Oden acted swiftly, and the situation was handled flawlessly.
The biggest change was just the organization of the school before you came, before Mr. Oden came in. The discipline process was very unorganized, where to send referrals to, whether it would have been to send them to Ms. J, to Ms. Lewis or Mr. Lindsay down in the office. Finally, when Mr. Oden came in, we streamlined the process of, sending kids directly to here with the referrals, and then coaching teachers up on how to handle classroom management really changed. Instead of just getting on teachers for writing too many referrals, kind of coaching us up on how different ways to help help the students instead of just writing the referrals. Having setting up parent conferences with some of our troubled students who get in trouble on a day-to-day basis. Having the parents come in explaining, this is it's got to change, or you're going to be sent out. That really helped on a number of students. And Tia, Hope actually really turned it around.
Mr. Oden has been a help and also an asset to me, because when he first came in, he set up a program as far as our procedures for breakfast, the breakfast program, lunch procedures, and dismissal. He also provided us with a positive behavior chart that I used and I implemented in my classroom. And it works. It works. You move the children up and down based on behavior. When the children move up, they're rewarded, and when they move down, there's some form of consequence, and it definitely worked. A student, who struggled with behavior, I did use the behavior chart. I followed through. The student continued to click down to orange, as well as red, which is red as a referral. I would write the student up because it was a habitual behavior, just hands-on, insubordinate, disrespect, bullying. It was a lot of things, and I continued to try to follow the procedure with the positive behavior chart, and it wasn't working. So Mr. Oden, he would send the student back sometime, told me to try different things, and eventually, showing that I used that, he was able to work with me so we can put together a plan for this student to help him be successful with behavior for the future.
Watch out for me, I'm about to glow. You better watch out for me.